Hello everyone, I'm Suvarna Bandari, working as an assistant professor of English at Government Degree College, Jammikunta. I welcome all of you to today's class. We will see subject-verb agreement today. So subject-verb agreement is one of the trickiest areas as most of the students feel a little bit of confusion while doing this area. And as we all know, subject-verb agreement is very basic and it is very essential in order to all the skills of the language, maybe for writing or maybe for speaking. So to know subject-verb agreement properly is very important, either to write or speak properly. But it is, as I just said, it is very confusing to most of the students, especially for the students who hail from their vernacular mediums. They feel it a little difficult because it is a little tricky, right? So the basic rule is that all the singular subjects must have singular verbs and all the plural subjects must take plural verbs. But it doesn't seem so easy as it sounds because most of the students get confused to identify whether the subject in the sentence is singular or plural. So it is really difficult to do this area in maybe a few minutes or in one class or two classes. But today we are going to see few important rules which most of the students get confused while doing this particular area, maybe in their general learning or in any examination purpose. So let us start. Yes, uh, the first one is the pronoun you always takes a plural verb. So in generally in our mother tongue, let us take Telugu. So uh, you can be taken in a singular way and plural way, but whereas in English, you should always be taken in a plural sense. So obviously, when you is taken in a plural sense, it has to be followed by a plural verb. Yes. So whenever we will write sentences starting with the subject you, it should be followed with a plural verb. So for example, you can see sentences here. You were invited to come. You are asked to clean the room. You sing so well. So whenever we write sentences with the subject you, it must be followed by a plural subject because in English we always consider you in a plural sense. Next one. If a sentence begins with here or there, the verb agrees with the subject which follows it. So if a sentence is to be started with here or there, then what is the verb that has to be taken? So when we start sentences with here or there, for example, you look at the sentence here. The first sentence, the first example says, "Here are the ways on how to preserve meat." Whereas the second sentence says, "There is a huge gap between the rich and the poor." So first there is a plural verb there, and in the second sentence there is a singular verb. So why it is like that? So in the first sentence, you can see what part of the sentence that is after the verb there after are. So here are the ways. So it is plural, right? So as this is plural, you have to take the plural verb here. Here are the ways. Whereas in the next sentence, there is a huge gap, a huge gap. As this is singular, you have to take the verb as singular. So whenever we use here or there, we start sentences with here or there. The verb must agree with the subject that follows after it, that follows it. The next rule is singular subjects joined by and require a plural verb except when they mean one thing. So singular subjects joined by and, when two singular subjects are joined with the conjunction and, then they have to take plural verb. For instance, we can see the example here. It says Larry and Mercy are reading novels. So here Larry is one person and Mercy is one person. we are the different subjects here are getting combined with the conjunction and, right? Larry and Mercy. Now this phrase becomes, it refers to two persons, Larry and Mercy. So hence, as the subject refers to two persons, subject is plural here, we are using the plural verb or. Whereas in second sentence, you see my teacher and friend is here. So here my teacher and friend. So these two words doesn't refer, they don't refer to different persons. Here my teacher, who is my teacher, is also is my friend. So here my teacher as well as the subject friend both refer to one person only. So hence my teacher and friend, the whole phrase refers to only one singular subject. So hence it is followed by a singular verb. Whereas in the first sentence, Larry and Mercy, here the subject refers to two people, hence the subject becomes plural. Hence it is followed by the plural verb there. Larry and Mercy are reading novels. But whereas in the second sentence, as my teacher and friend is here, here my teacher refers to the same person and friend is also refers to the same person. Hence my teacher and friend becomes only one person here. Hence the subject is singular and it is followed by singular verb. The next one, two singular subjects joined by either or neither nor take a singular verb. So I'm going to read it again. Two singular subjects joined by either or neither nor take a singular verb. Here we have, yes. So you see here in the first sentence, either mommy or daddy is coming with me at the outboard, right? So either mommy or daddy, when these two subjects, mommy and daddy, when you see the both subjects are singular, right? Yeah, after either there's a singular subject and after or also there is a singular subject. So with either and or here we are using singular subjects. So in the second sentence also with neither not, we are using neither Freddie nor. Yes. So here both are singular subjects, right? When either or, when the sentence has either or neither or, and it is the subject has two singular, the sentence has two singular subjects, then there is no problem, because on the whole phrase can be taken, the whole subject can be taken as a singular subject. When, so I'm going to repeat it again. With either or neither nor, when both the subjects are singular, right? Then the whole subject becomes a singular. Hence, it will take a singular verb. So there is no confusion. After either there is a singular subject, and after or also there is a singular subject. Hence, the whole subject becomes a singular subject. Even in the case of neither nor also, neither follows by a singular subject and nor follows by a singular subject. So the whole subject here becomes a singular subject. So there is no conflict, as the subject is singular, then it is followed by singular verb. But whereas here, in the next rule we can see, so if two subjects, one singular and one plural, are connected by either or neither nor, the verb agrees with the nearest subject. So in the previous slide we had seen the two subjects are singular, right? That the two of the subjects which are joined by either or neither nor were singular in that previous slide. But here, if we see, the subjects joined by either or neither nor here is one subject is plural and the next subject is singular. For instance, I'm going to read the first example. Please look there. Neither the players nor the coach is joining. So here you can see, I think neither the players is plural subject, nor the coach is singular subject. So here neither is followed by a plural subject and nor is followed by a singular subject. So here a conflict arises. Now here we have a plural subject and here we have a singular subject. Now what is the on overall, how we have to consider subject? Is the subject singular or plural? The same way in the next sentence also, either the conductor or the singers, right? So here also the conductor, it is singular, either is followed by a singular subject and or is followed by a plural subject. So in these both sentences we can see one singular subject and one plural subject. When both the subjects are singular, no problem, the whole subject becomes singular and it is followed by a singular verb. Now, when both subjects are plural, there is also no problem. The whole subject is considered as plural and it is followed by a plural verb. But here, one subject is plural and the another subject is singular. Now, uh, the subject, whether it should be taken as singular or plural. So, here is the rule: when two subjects, one singular and plural, then the verb agrees with the nearer subject. The verb must agree with the nearer subject. So here, the verb is nearer to which subject? The coach, the singular subject. So here in the first sentence, the subject, neither the players nor the coach, the whole subject becomes singular. Hence, it is followed by is. Whereas in the second, the conductor or the singers, which is nearer to the verb there, so it is nearer with the singers, the plural subject. So it is followed by are, right? So when there is one singular and one plural subject joined by neither nor or either or, then verb must agree with the nearer subject. If the nearer subject is singular, then verb becomes plural verb. We have to use plural verb. If the nearer subject is singular, then it should be followed by a singular verb. So if a singular subject is followed by a phrase containing a plural noun, the verb is singular. Here simply, you just by looking at the examples you can understand. One of the boys is yelling so loud. So here boys might be plural, but here the whole phrase says one of the boys. So here we are not talking about all the boys, but we are talking only one of those boys. So when we are talking about only one, then the subject becomes singular, right? So it is followed by is here. Then in the next sentence, one of the members is against the rule. So here also we are not talking about all the members. Here, just by looking at the members, we may sometimes get confused and we may consider the subject as plural. But we have to carefully observe the whole phrase here, one of the members. So when it is one of the members, then we are speaking of only one, not all the members or all the boys. So when it is one of the members or one of the boys, it becomes a singular subject and hence it should be followed by a singular verb. Then the next one is the indefinite pronouns. Several, few, both, many, others are always plural. As in the previous slide we have seen, when we use one of the, then it becomes, the subject becomes singular, right? But here, when we use pronouns such as several, few, both, many, and others, then the subject becomes plural, right? Look at the example sentences here. Both were asking to be freed. Several are seeking justice. So here several means many members. Both means two members. So the subject here the subject in both sentences is plural, and that's why it is followed by a plural verb. Yes. So the next one is the indefinite pronouns some, most, all, none, or singular or plural according to the meaning of the sentence. Now, so here when we use, in generally the mostly heard rule will be like when we use some, most, all, noun, then it is considered either as plural or singular. But here look carefully, so they can be, when we use these pronouns some, most, all, none, it can be the subject can be singular or plural according to the meaning of the sentence. Or let us see the examples here. The first sentence says some of the girls, I'm sorry, yeah, the first sentence says some of the girls were absent, right? The second sentence says some of the ice cream is left. So what is the difference here? The in first sentence, both of the sentences are getting started with the pronoun some, right? But the first sentence, in the first sentence, the subject is followed by uh, yes. So the subject is followed by yes. So the subject is followed by a plural verb, whereas in the second sentence, the subject is followed by a singular verb. Why? In the first sentence, how did the subject become plural, and in the second sentence, how did the subject become singular? Right? When we observe, the first sentence says some of the girls. So these girls, it is a countable noun, right? And it is plural. We can clearly see there, right? So when there is a countable noun, so and it is plural also, then the sum of the girls become a plural subject, right? So some of the girls is plural, so it is followed by a plural verb there, were absent. Whereas in the second sentence, some of the ice cream, it's not any countable noun here, right? So we cannot consider it as a plural subject since it is followed by a singular verb. Some of the ice cream is left. The next one. When any of the following indefinite pronouns is the subject, the verb is singular, right? If I'm going to give the list. So if any of these pronouns is a subject, then the verb becomes singular. We have to use it should be followed by a singular verb. What are those indefinite pronouns? They are everybody, each, anybody, nobody, every, nothing, everything, anyone, either, neither, everyone, somebody, and someone. So when sentence starts with or these are the pronouns which are subjects, then they should be followed by a singular verb. Yes. So expressions of the next rule is expressions of time, money, weight, and distance are singular, even if the form is plural. What does this mean? So in the first sentence, you can see 2 years. So when you just look at the years, it may seem plural, but when you consider the whole phrase, that 2 years is a long time to wait. When you consider 2 years, so though, uh, as it is said, expressions of time, money, weight, and distance are singular, even if the form is plural. $1 million was given back to the owner. It's not $1 million were given. It is $1 million is. 300 kilometers is a long distance, right? We have to use singular verb there. The next one is the following words are always plural: pants, trousers, scissors, stone. So, however, but yes, most of us know until here, right? The following words are plural, right? Pants, trousers, these are plural. Okay, but when we use pair, when we use a pair of trousers or pair of scissors, then the subject should be considered as singular. So when we use this trousers, the subject should be considered as a plural one, and it has to be followed by a plural verb there. But when we use pair, when we use the word pair there, so the pair of trousers or the pair of scissors, then it becomes a singular. For example, you can see the examples here. The pants are torn into two, and the scissors are here, for example. But when you use the pair of scissors, you have to consider that phrase as singular subject, right? When you use the scissors, it's plural. When you use the pair of scissors, it is singular. So the pair of scissors was placed on the table. The nouns, these nouns may be singular or plural in meaning. The nouns given here are athletics, genetics, politics, gymnastics, statistics. When the noun refers to an organized activity, it is singular. So we know only one side of this whole rule, right? Whenever we read in most of the books, we will be reading as the subjects like athletics, genetics, politics. These are singular, right? We know only until um, we only know one part of this rule. But when the noun refers to an organized activity, it is singular. But when this noun refers to the activities of individuals within a group or to varied activities, it is plural. So by looking at the example, you can understand it easily. When you say only the gymnastics is very popular among girls. So here the subject becomes singular because here the whole word gymnastics is referring to an organized activity, right? But whereas in the second sentence, the gymnastics shown in the field today were outstanding. So that means here gymnastics is referring to one individual activity. So in the first sentence, it refers to an organized activity, whereas in the second sentence, the same subject refers to an individual activity. So in the first sentence, it is taken as a singular subject, whereas in the second sentence, it is taken as a plural subject. Right. Then certain nouns, though plural in form or singular in meaning, and therefore take singular words. For example, mathematics is my favorite subject. So just by looking at the word mathematics, representing the test, we can consider it as plural. But no, mathematics on the whole, it should be considered as a singular subject. In the same way, news, there may be 100 news, a number of news within that news, but it as a whole, it has to be considered as a single unit, right? So news becomes singular. The latest news is alarming to the public. Mathematics is my favorite subject. The next one, when the word is preceded by a, it takes a plural verb. When it is preceded by the, it takes a singular verb. So here look at the sentences, a number of students. So here the same student, in both of a number of students are waiting outside. The number of students outside is not recorded yet. So in both of the sentences, we're talking about students only. But in the first sentence, the students is preceded by a there. So a number of students. When you say a number of students, it becomes plural subject and it should be followed by a plural verb. Whereas in the second sentence, the number of students outside is not recorded yet, as it is preceded by the whole subject becomes singular and it should be followed by a singular verb. Then when fractions are used, the verb agrees with the object of the phrase. So when fractions are used, the verb agrees with the object of the phrase. So when the fraction 1/2 or 1/4 or 1/3, right, quarter. So 1/2 of the cake. So here cake, you have to consider the subject there. Cake, whether it is singular or plural. So if it is singular, the whole subject becomes singular. If it is plural, then the whole becomes plural. So 1/2 of the cake, it becomes singular, right? And hence it should be followed by a singular verb. Whereas in the second example, 1/4 of the employees. So here employees is plural, right? So hence 1/4 of the employees were attending the seminar. It becomes plural, hence it should be followed by a plural verb. Then adjectives used as nouns are considered plural. Adjectives used as nouns are considered plural. The first sentence here is the poor ought to be helped. The efficient are what this country needs. We also know generally a rule here, maybe while we learn the articles there. So whenever we use definite article before an adjective, it becomes a noun, right? So the poor, when you consider poor individual in individual sense, it becomes adjective. But here, when you say the poor, it becomes a plural noun, right? The poor indicates the whole. Yes, yes, all the poor people out there. So the poor are to be helped. Now adjectives used as nouns are considered as plural. The efficient here refers to all the efficient people, whereas the poor here refers to all the poor people. So the subject becomes plural here, and they have to be followed by plural verbs. Yes, the next one is collective nouns may be singular or plural depending on whether the individual members are acting individually or collectively. This is also one of the important rules. And again, I'm stressing that most of us know only, or most of the students know only a part of this rule, right? Generally, when uh, we are told like the subjects like company, or group, committee, crowd, they are considered as singular subjects, right? But there is an exception. So collective nouns, they may be singular or plural. The condition is depending on whether the individual members are acting individually or collectively. So by looking at the example, you can understand it in a better way. Here goes the sentence. The committee is against the plan. Now here the committee, in the first sentence, the committee is against the plan, and in the second sentence, the committee are of different opinions. So in the first sentence, the subjects are same. In the first sentence also we have the committee, and in the second sentence also we have the same subject, committee. The same collective noun is there. But in the first sentence it is singular, it is followed by a singular verb, whereas in the second sentence it is followed by a plural verb. Why? So what makes this different? Now, let us go to the rule again. Collective nouns may be singular or plural depending on whether the individual, yes, whether the individual members are acting individually or collectively. In the first sentence, the committee is against the plan. So why the committee has become singular here? Because the committee here refers to each and every member, and all the members who are against the plan. Not even a single member is supporting the plan. Each and every member of the committee, right, as collectively, the all the members of the committee, right? So the committee, the whole committee is against the plan. Here, no individual is differing from other people in this committee. Whereas in the second sentence, the committee are of different opinion. That means maybe few of, or one or two of, right? So few of the members of the committee are not going uh, with others. There is a difference of opinion, difference of acting. So in the first sentence, the whole committee acted on collective basis, whereas in the second sentence, the committee did not act on a collective basis, but yes, it has been acting on individual level. So in the first sentence, the committee is against the plan, and the second sentence, the committee are of different opinions. Right? You cannot say the committee is of different. Right? So when you read the first sentence, you have to understand. Sometimes reading between the lines also becomes very important, right? So here the committee is against the plan means yes, every member of the committee has the same opinion, and every member of the committee is against the plan. So the committee are of different opinion. Many some of the members of the committee have one opinion, and the others of the committee are differing that opinion. So based on this rule, the collective nouns sometimes they may become singular, and sometimes they may become plural. Yeah. The next one is also one of the important rules. as I said, covering all sort of rules, and moreover, learning subject-verb agreement as a rule process is very difficult, right? So it has to be learned through practice. So we cannot learn 50 number of rules or 100 number of rules, because it is very, it needs lots of logic, lots of, moreover, we know this particular language is a illogical language, right? So sometimes the same subject sometimes is considered as plural, sometimes it becomes singular. So what makes us do this particular area in a uh, good manner is just our practice, nothing else. Okay, so here is the last rule, maybe the last rule here. So names of organizations take singular verb when the whole organization is referred to, and the plural verb when the members are referred to. Just like the previous one, it is also an interesting rule. And again, looking at the example here, it makes your work easy, right? It will become easy to understand the rule here. So Lopez and Sons is a successful organization. Here the subject Lopez and Sons is singular, right? Whereas in the second sentence, Lopez and Sons are holding a two-day annual meeting. So the subject did not vary, right? It says same, Lopez and Sons in the first sentence and Lopez and Sons in the second sentence. But what made the Lopez and Sons become singular in the first sentence, and what made the Lopez and Sons become plural in the second sentence? So now you go back to the rule here. Names of organizations take singular verb when the whole organization is referred to. So when this subject refers to the organization, when this subject refers to only organization, then, or that particular institute, then it is considered as a singular subject and it should be followed by a singular verb when this refers to the organization. Whereas in the second sentence, when the members are referred to, now in the first sentence, Lopez and Sons refers to the organization only, right? Lopez and Sons as an organization. It is a successful organization. But whereas in the second sentence, Lopez and Sons here refers to maybe the administrative people, the executive people there, right? They are holding a two-day annual meeting. So here Lopez and Sons, it doesn't refer to the organization, but it refers to its members. Whereas in the first sentence, it refers to the organization only. So here Lopez and Sons becomes a singular subject, and here Lopez and Sons becomes a plural subject. So these are few rules related to subject verb agreement. As I just mentioned, it is not easy and not wholly possible to cover subject verb agreement only to a rule based topic or uh, rule based area. Here, just by looking at few rules, we can understand how generally most of us get most of the students get confused while doing subject and verb agreement in a proper way. Right? The only key is practice to practice. Right? When you go through a rule, if you practice that rule uh, number of times, then it will be imprinted in your mind, and when you do that area, you will relatively do it in a better manner. So I'm not going to recapitulate all these rules once again, but yes, we will meet in our next class with few more rules where most of the students get confused related to subject verb agreement. So with this, I'm going to end my class today. Take care and meet you in my next class. Thank you.